Imagine you're standing at the edge of your camp, tens of thousands of years ago. Your legs ache. They've ached for days. Behind you is everything your tribe owns: food, tools, children too small to walk on their own, elders too tired to keep pace. Ahead of you is another valley, another river, another impossibly long stretch of land you have no choice but to cross on foot. There are no roads, no wheels, no animals waiting patiently to carry your burden. There is only you, and your own two legs, and the horizon that never seems to get any closer. For most of human history, this was simply what life was. Movement meant walking, distance meant time, and time meant exhaustion. But something was about to change. Slowly, quietly, without anyone realizing they were making history. And it may have started with something as simple as watching an animal struggle through mud. Here's something most people never stop to think about. Humans are not naturally built for carrying heavy loads over long distances. We can walk for miles. Our bodies are surprisingly efficient at endurance movement, better in some ways than almost any other mammal on Earth. But carrying, hauling, dragging heavy weight across uneven ground, day after day, that's a different problem entirely. And it's a problem every early human tribe eventually had to solve, because as human groups grew larger, they accumulated more tools, more food stores, more children, more of everything that made survival possible, and every one of those things needed to move when the tribe moved. Scientists believe the very first solution wasn't a wheel or a cart or anything mechanical at all. It was something far simpler: another human being. Long before any invention, humans carried each other. Parents carried children, the strong carried the weak, and when someone was injured or too old to walk, the rest of the group had to make an impossible choice: leave them behind or carry them. Anthropologists studying ancient burial sites have found something remarkable: skeletons of individuals with severe injuries or disabilities who survived for years after they should have died. Injuries that would have made walking, hunting, or even standing incredibly difficult. The only explanation is that someone carried them, fed them, supported them for years. This wasn't just an act of kindness. It reveals something profound about the earliest forms of transport. Before humans built anything to move each other, they simply chose to move each other, on their backs, in their arms, slung across their shoulders using nothing but woven fiber and animal hide. This may be the true first form of human transportation, not a tool, but a decision. The decision that no one gets left behind, even if it costs enormous physical effort every single day. But carrying people was only part of the problem. Tribes also had to move belongings, and belongings, unlike people, don't have the ability to help. The earliest evidence of load-carrying tools dates back tens of thousands of years, long before recorded history. Simple slings made from animal hide, tied at both ends and worn across the body, allowed humans to carry food, tools, or even infants using their torso instead of their arms, freeing their hands for balance, or for carrying something else entirely. This sounds almost too basic to matter, but think about what it actually did. It meant a single person could move 2, 3, sometimes 4 times as much weight as they could using their arms alone. For the first time, human movement wasn't limited purely by muscle, it was shaped by design. And once humans discovered that a simple tool could multiply what their bodies could carry, there was no turning back. The next leap came from watching the land itself. Archaeological evidence suggests early humans began dragging heavy loads using simple wooden frames, 2 long poles lashed together, dragged behind a person, with belongings tied across the middle. This device, sometimes called a trevia, by anthropologists studying later cultures who used similar tools, didn't need wheels. It didn't need axles or complicated mechanics, it only needed friction and the willingness to drag weight instead of carry it. This shift seems small, but it fundamentally changed how far a human tribe could travel in a single day, and how much they could bring with them when they moved. No longer were people forced to choose between carrying their child or carrying their food. The land itself, dragged across by simple wooden poles, became an extension of the human back. Eventually, humans began applying the same idea to something even more powerful: animals. Dogs are believed to be one of the very first animals domesticated by early humans, arriving alongside our species tens of thousands of years ago. And once that bond of trust was formed, it wasn't long before humans realized dogs could pull weight too. Small travois-like sleds, dragged by dogs rather than humans, appear in evidence from ancient hunter-gatherer groups living in colder climates, where snow made dragging far easier than carrying. This was more than a convenience, it was a partnership. For the first time, transportation wasn't limited by human muscle at all. It was limited only by how much trust and how much training a human was willing to invest in another living creature. And once that barrier fell, an enormous door opened. Because if a dog could pull weight, then perhaps larger animals could too. Thousands of years later, humans would begin domesticating horses, oxen, camels, and other large mammals, creatures capable of pulling loads no single human or even group of humans could manage alone. But all of that, every single wheel, cart, chariot, and eventually every engine that would ever move a human being across the earth, traces back to something much older and much simpler: a person choosing to carry another person, a sling wrapped across a chest, a wooden frame dragged silently across dry grass. And here is the part that almost nobody considers: transportation wasn't invented because humans wanted convenience, it was invented because humans refused to leave each other behind. Every early transport method we've discovered exists for one core reason: someone in the group could no longer keep up on their own, and the rest of the tribe decided that mattered enough to solve. The elderly, the injured, the very young, the sick. Transportation, in its earliest and most human form, wasn't about speed, it wasn't about efficiency, it was about loyalty. It was survival driven by connection, the radical idea that a tribe moves at the pace of its slowest member, because that member is still worth carrying. Think about that the next time you sit in a car, or step onto a train, or watch a plane cut silently through the clouds above you. Every single form of transportation humanity has ever built, every wheel, every engine, every rocket, every satellite orbiting this planet right now, exists because tens of thousands of years ago someone decided a person too weak to walk was still worth carrying. We don't often think of transportation as an emotional invention. We think of it as mechanical, practical, purely functional. But underneath every mile humans have ever traveled together lies the same quiet decision our ancestors made long before wheels, long before roads, long before history was ever written down. We do not move forward by leaving each other behind. We move forward by learning how to carry one another. So the next time you help someone carry something heavy, or offer your arm to someone who's struggling to walk, remember this: you're not doing something new, you're doing something as old as our species itself. Something written into the earliest chapters of human history, long before anyone thought to draw a wheel. Maybe the real question isn't just when ancient humans invented transportation, maybe it's this: How much of who we are today we owe to the simple decision to carry someone else's weight, so they would never have to walk alone. Thanks for watching.